And a very pleasant Tuesday evening to everybody. We welcome you to Ridgecrest Talk, and tonight our theme is sports. I'm with Chris Branson. Chris is a junior high basketball coach over at Monroe. He coaches a 7th grade team. He's also very active in the community. He also has coached football. His kids participate in IWV football. He's done flag football. He's done tennis. He does baseball club and with the IWV, and a few other things that hopefully won't land him in a divorce with his wife, although I know she demands more time too. But Chris, let's talk about what's going on over with Monroe Junior High School, and let's talk about the 8th grade and the 7th grade basketball program. Then we'll talk more specifically about your team.
So junior high basketball for Monroe has been going good. We're 22-7 or something like that. Just played in a very competitive tournament over the last weekend up here at Saracoso. Had the whole gym packed with probably 25-30 teams. We played in the upper division and lost our first one by 2 points, and then actually beat a very athletic team the second game, and then played in the Consolation Championship and didn't fare too well in that one.
Well, you know, you're playing against teams too that did have a few 8th graders in those tournaments, so that's not the easiest thing. You do have a very good 7th grade team, though, absolutely. Well, let's talk about some of the teams that you've played this year in the 7th grade. I know some of the schools aren't always in Ridgecrest, but what's your schedule look like, and where have you gone?
So we've played Tehachapi twice, once up there and once here. Got to play them up at Saracoso, so that was a nice change. We lost a heartbreaker to them last week by 4 in overtime. We played a couple tournaments in Bakersfield. One team called St. Francis, we lost to them twice and ended up beating them in a championship game in our last tournament in Bakersfield. Desert from Edwards, Lone Pine, Lake Isabella, a team called Wallace, and believe it or not, we haven't even played Murray this year.
Wow. In past years, you guys always seem to wear each other out before the last game of the season, which is always played up at Saracoso, the city championships, or the Battle of the City, they call it. But I guess that's a good thing. That way this year you'll only have to play them the one time, and unless you get them again sooner or later. Well, how about I know you coach the 7th grade team, but how has the 8th grade team done at Monroe?
Monroe's 8th grade team's a very athletic team, and I think they've won more games than they've lost. They have not played Murray either, I don't believe, but I do know that Murray 8th grade team is the team to beat. They have an excellent squad.
Well, the Murray 8th grade team has won up here several times. In fact, at the COSO tournament, the Murray 8th grade team defeated Desert in a real battle. I think it was a rematch. The first time I think Desert defeated Murray in a very close game at Desert. But boy, that wasn't even close here a week ago on Saturday, as Desert just really was just outmanned by a very good Murray team. I think Coach Skipworth does a really good job about mixing up his players and attacks and different things, changing things up, and he likes to run like everybody does this day and age. But let's talk about your practice times, and is it hard getting everybody there? And I know you have to share the gym with a lot of folks. Is that kind of tough?
Yeah, so it seems like once the season starts with games, we share the gym with St. Anne's, Emmanuel, Murray. So basically, once the season starts, we're lucky to get in one practice a week. And then Saturdays, I'm pretty relentless about making sure we practice on Saturdays, but this last Saturday I actually let them take it off. The school had a dance on Friday, and so we took Saturday off.
Now, you have to pretty much go sometimes at all hours, correct? Or do you kind of rotate the times that you practice?
So we're scheduled Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but with a lot of the games falling on Tuesday and Thursday and school functions on Friday, we're lucky to get in there. But Saturday's a rotating schedule, so we usually practice an hour and a half later the next week.
Now, what kind of what kind of problems does a really small, older gym present sometimes? I know playing at Monroe is not always the easiest thing to do, but talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of in conflict because a lot of our games and the teams, when we go out of town and play, we usually play in a much bigger gym. So when we practice, a lot of times we'll not even go by the sidelines at Monroe. We open it up to the actual walls and tell them, okay, the walls are out of bounds, just so that we can get a feel of what a big court is like. And then when we do play the home games at Monroe, we just feel like we're stuffed in a cage in about 30% smaller of a gym, and then the floor is it's the same floor as when I was in school, which is I think 20 years ago.
Oh, really? The same one, huh?
Yep.
I want to know about the plans for the new junior high school they're planning to build for Murray, and I understand that that new school would also have a gym.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and as all the budget cuts loom, we just hope that gym stays in the budget.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so too. That would really, if there's one thing that a lot of the schools really need around here is another place to play, and that's definitely been a problem. And Saracoso has hosted some things. I know that helps get people out there with the boosters and everything, but it would be great for you guys to have a facility that wouldn't really pose a danger threat, because the small gym at Monroe, and you get some of those big bodies, 8th grade bodies, banging each other, and that makes for a very interesting afternoon. And the fans, basically the sideline and the fans are as one. I mean, you've got the metal seats inches away from the court, and I've always, when I've refereed over there, I've always thought, boy, that is just almost an accident waiting to happen, and hopefully that it won't happen. But I know that's got to be a worry for you guys.
Yeah, their feet are actually on the court when they're sitting on the low bench.
Yeah. That's what you call home court advantage right there. That's for sure. That's on the court seats. Definitely, that's for sure. Well, we're going to pause and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Chris Branson about his junior high basketball and some of the other events that are going to be going on in the youth, in the community for athletics. All right, back after this 1-minute timeout. This is Ridgecrest Talk right here on KZGN. And we're back. This is Tom Heck on a Tuesday night with Chris Branson. Chris, the head coach at Monroe Junior High School 7th grade boys basketball. Chris also active in other sports in the community. I want to talk to you about baseball, but first I don't want to forget about a couple questions I had with basketball. Okay, besides Murray, I know they're a rival, who are some of the other teams that have maybe given you some problems, and where has that been at?
Yeah, I've played Tehachapi twice and lost both times to them. St. Francis, another private school out of Bakersfield, has been also our arch rival. We did play them a third time and actually put up won by 15. So that was
wow.
We played an excellent game and a championship game, and was really excited about that. But the struggles have been against Tehachapi, which has been mainly the only other team that we've lost to, was rebounding, I would say, is our biggest thing when we play a bigger team. And I'll take blame for that. I focus so much on making sure we know how to run that offense, and I sometimes neglect, that fundamental habit of boxing out and getting a body on them.
Let's talk about some of the personnel that you have, and why don't you just kind of run us through your roster, and I know everybody really at your age bracket, your main job is to build fundamentals to get the kids ready for the 8th grade season and then on to the high school over there. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about some of the folks that have been starring for the 7th grade team.
Yeah, so we have 13 guys on the team, but great group of 13 guys. They have a great attitude, come to practice and play hard. We have about 7 or 8 that generally get more playing time and are on the court during crunch time. We have a 6th grader, Evan Hansen, who handles the ball extremely well. He's been playing great the last few games. He was actually sick against Tehachapi. It's a big loss. But the twins also are real scrappy and real big hustlers and create lots of turnovers at times. And then we have Trayvon Miller, who has excellent ball handling skills as well, and tends to not rush things as much as, say, the twins do. So he's like the calming force out there. And then for the taller guys, we have Grant Martin, who's a young 7th grader, but lots of talent. And another tall guy, and probably the fastest and most athletic on our team, is Jalen Beecroft, who is a star football player. So we're trying to tame him down a little bit and teach him some fundamentals in basketball. But he's lightning fast and really long, and probably has got the most turnovers for our team.
Now, last week you had a tough loss against Jacobson out of Tehachapi, and go ahead and talk to us a little bit about that game. I know I had to leave you with about 1:05 to go, and you had a 2-point lead in the ball, and I found out the next day that it was a overtime loss for you. But go ahead and take us through that battle, because it was a battle.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game. We didn't press too much in the beginning. I mean, we had good looks and we couldn't get a few easy baskets to fall. Second half, a little bit more scoring going on, a lot more pressing, and created some turnovers. And actually, Braden hit a big 3 in the corner to go up 4. And then, I think back, not having our point guard, and they did do a good job of putting the pressure on us and getting us out of our comfort zone, and got a few turnovers. And down the stretch, I look back, and that time that I decided to press up by 1, they had about 30 seconds. It came back to bite us on an uncontested layup down the weak side. And so we were down 1 with about 9 seconds, and wanted to put the ball in my best free throws shooter's hand. So I gave it to Braden, and he was sprinting down the sideline, and Tehachapi actually grabbed him, and they called an intentional foul, which meant 2 free throws and the ball. So we went to the line with 3 seconds on the clock, in and out on the first one. So then, the pressure was there. He actually made the second one, tie game, and we had a great inbounds play with basically an uncontested layup also to Beecroft, and in and out. So that forced overtime. And, I think looking back, we probably ran out of gas, missed a couple box out on a few shots, and they got some second chance opportunities, and, down 4, and we just couldn't get it in.
And the 7th grade game was very close also. Gene Lepresti's team got the win, though, against Jacobson. And then Charlie Horn's 8th grade team lost by only 2 points in a battle that really could have gone either way. And then the 8th grade boys from Monroe dropped a tough game to the 8th grade from Jacobson. But, I know you try to get everybody in the game and get playing time balance. Not easy to do something like that. But how have the tournaments in Bakersfield been for you?
Yeah, so the first one was a round robin, and we played St. Francis as our first real task. We had been beating, a lot of times we'll get a lot of the teams in Monroe and small gym, and we'll beat them by 30, and that's good because I can get the rest of the clan in, and they get to work and get some real good time. But we started off against St. Francis and lost, but beat 2 other good teams and took second place in that tournament. One tournament we didn't have I don't know, we just woke up tired or something, but lost our first game and ended up in the consolation, and won one game and then lost the next one. And then we went up to El Cajon to play a tournament, and St. Francis was actually playing Tehachapi in the semifinals, so we were watching that game to see who we were going to play, and Tehachapi had a chance at the end with the last second shot that didn't go in. So then we played St. Francis in the championship, and so that seems to be the team that we get to face off against, when we go down to the bigger city.
Mm-hmm.
And
do they present a size matchup height-wise in for you guys?
they seem to they execute very well, and they have one really good player who's very big, and he's a ball handler and a great passer and great shooter. So I actually took some advice from Mike Longmire. Talked to him before the game, and he said, I'd try to put Trey on that guy and move Beecroft down to the box, whereas I used to have Beecroft handling number 5, and seemed to work out well. Trey shut him down, and Beecroft got a lot of rebounds.
Wow. Okay. So that worked out much better then, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And how was the gym at El Cajon?
It's a pretty nice gym. They have, what looks to be wood flooring, but I think it's like fake wood flooring. It's kind of like a plastic, but I like it. Anything over Monroe is pretty nice.
Yeah, boy. We've talked a little bit about Monroe being a real tough place real tough agenda to practice at and play at. Just because it's old and it's small, and you have the best they can do is. And they tried the best they can do to get it comfortable for everyone to watch a game for, and safety issues also, but only so much you can do when you only have so much room to work with, and as we mentioned, definitely presents some challenges safety-wise. Absolutely it does. But okay, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're going to have more from Chris. He's going to be talking now. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk baseball. And before we leave, we also want to at least hit on the big city game coming up at the end of the month on the 28th, I believe it is. I'll have to double check that, but I believe that is the day. That's when Murray's going to play Monroe, and it's a tradition game here played at Saracoso College. All right, back for our last segment. After this break, this is Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Tom Heck with Chris Branson. Back after this timeout. All right, Joey, last segment, buddy. Going on 3, 2, and 1. And welcome back. If you just happened to tune in on this Tuesday night, this is Ridgecrest Talk, and tonight our sports theme is with junior high basketball. And I have Chris Branson with me. He is the 7th grade boys coach at Monroe Middle School. And Chris is just finishing up his season, although still several games left. And before we hit baseball, let's talk about that big rivalry game going to be played at Saracoso. And the fun thing is this year, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have not played Murray at all.
Right.
And either has the 8th grade teams.
Yeah. And I think that game was actually in question, at least in the first few schedules that we saw. It wasn't actually on there, and I kept asking the question and finally got the email that said it is for sure going to be held up at Saracoso. So yeah, we're very excited. A lot of the boys have grown up with each other, and they're really looking forward to that game.
All right, let's talk about baseball a little bit. I know that you've also coached youth baseball in the IWV and club baseball, and it looks like, the IWV just started practice this week, and do you know how many teams are going to be in that? And how do they choose teams? People have always asked, and how come certain players get to play together and what have you? But go ahead and run us through that.
Yeah, so baseball I think is probably the only sport that we still hold an actual evaluations and do an actual draft. So they have 1 or 2 coaches. The third coach is a vote, so you can actually get 3 coaches together with 3 kids on a team, and so sometimes that can weight a team down. But they have to all agree to that third coach, and after that, they'll just do the snake draw and line them all up, and hopefully pick their best team.
And so anyway, what the tryouts do then hopefully is to give you different levels and kind of make teams fair. And go through a day of the tryout and what all goes into it, Chris.
So this year I actually was in a basketball tournament with the twins, and my oldest actually took Corbin down there. But from past experience, they will hit them some ground balls and hit them some fly balls and put them in the box. And I think, just by seeing how a kid fields a ball and how a kid throws a ball and how his swing is, they can get a pretty good feel for where that guy should fall in the draft. And so they'll, evaluate accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Now, do all the coaches get to be there on the tryout date and take a look at everything? And is everybody kind of marking a score sheet when they do all this?
Yeah, if you don't know the kids in the community and it's your first time coaching, they highly suggest that you go down. And I think they do it over 2 or 3 weekends. So you would plan on making your Saturdays down there to make sure you got a good look at all the kids.
Mm-hmm. Now, are we using in the city here metal bats or wood bats for that age group?
Still metal, and wood's not allowed to be used, so you could use a wood bat. I don't see too many kids using the wood ones.
Okay.
They spend the $400 on the metal ones.
Yeah, I was wondering, talk about price-wise for a good metal bat now. What is it for one bat?
Yeah, the top of the lines are $400. And
that's incredible. $400 for one metal bat. Well, I hope it guarantees you about 10 home runs or something. But now, where do you buy something like that?
Dick's has nice bats. I don't think you can get them here at Big 5. Maybe one of the top model bats is at Big 5, but Sports Authority is another good place to find bats. And then, of course, the internet.
Okay.
Is probably where you're going to find your best deal.
Well, now, what would a wood bat, just maybe in comparison, be right now?
Gosh, I don't know. I really don't have any idea. I would guess maybe $100 for a good wooden bat. I don't know.
And they don't use those hardly anymore, do they, with the youth?
Nope.
Now, why do you think that is? Just because of the cost overall, because you're going to break bats, or?
I think it's the weight ratio they can get on the aluminum and the power they can, the aluminum can generate.
Oh, okay. Well,
that would be my guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about as far as the danger? Now, we've all heard about how the trajectory off a metal bat just jumps out sometimes compared to like a wooden bat. And now they've supposedly, at least on the college level, they've toned it down a little bit. And they've done experiments and they've tried to soften the blow, But when you're looking at a guy that's throwing 90-some miles an hour off the mound at a major college, and that ball comes off that bat, it's coming off in a hurry, and there's been some injuries there. Your thoughts?
Well, all I can say is that at least in our youth division, the umpires are very good about making sure they inspect every bat, and they have a list of supposedly of those very, very dangerous bats that they make sure are not out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't imagine, what it must be like, because the guys are stronger, faster, and the bats seem to be getting better in technology that, boy, I would be scared if I was pitching.
Now, have you seen things that have happened as the ball coming off that hard trajectory-wise off a bat?
Yeah, I mean, I watched my son, just make a reaction play that had he not, I still wonder to this day, if he would still be pitching and playing.
Wow.
It was one of those just comebackers, reflect, and got a glove on it.
Now, at your level, though, the distance is about 60 feet, isn't it not, from, or is it 45, I wonder, from where you are with that age group?
So the twins who are now moved up to Pony, I think it's 56.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty close to, Major League. And then, but with Corbin in the Mustang division and some, with the travel ball, it's 47, 48 feet.
Okay.
And you still have some big kids. You see the simulation in the World Series where they show what the equivalent is, and some of those guys are throwing 100 plus when you scoot up the distance. So, yeah, I would think that would be scary as well.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you being here tonight, and we wish you good luck down the road for Monroe basketball, a couple big games coming up, and also for baseball season. Hope things go well there also.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Chris Branson has been our guest tonight. Chris is the junior high basketball coach for the 7th grade boys over at Monroe, also very involved with the IWV Youth Baseball Leagues. Well, until next week, we will bid you a very pleasant good evening, and I am Tom Heck for Chris Branson. This is Ridgecrest Talk right here on KZGN.